है।
एक इंसान है, उसने उसको गोली मार दी। जब बोला कि शायद मुस्लिम नहीं है, उसने उसको गोली मार दी।
We explore the chilling reality, a calculated millennium-long assault on Hindus, not just in India but across the globe. Few days ago, 26 Hindus were massacred in Pahalgam. The recent terrorist attack in Pahalgam, Kashmir, and the recent relentless persecution in Rajapalayam in Tamil Nadu and in Bolivia are not isolated incidents. They are part of a sinister pattern targeting Hindu civilization, its people, and its sacred heritage. Let's dive into the facts. On April 22nd, Baisaran Valley near Pahalgam, a serene tourist haven, turned into a bloodbath. 5 to 7 armed militants dressed in military-style uniform unleashed carnage, killing at least 26 people, mostly Hindu tourists, injuring over 20. This was no random act. The attackers, wielding M4 carbines and AK-47, infiltrated days earlier, posing as civilians. Their target? Male Hindu tourists.
आपने आप बोले ना मुझे
यहाँ पर थी, क्या बोलते, भेलपुरी खाड़ी से मेरा
हाँ,
पति साइड में था।
ठीक है।
एक इंसान है, उसने उसको गोली मार दी।
यहाँ पे
उसने बोला कि शायद मुस्लिम नहीं है, उसने उसको गोली मार दी।
नहीं, आप टेंशन मत लो। अब बेटा आप यहाँ पे रहो, हम साथ में।
They demanded names, checked religions, and forced victims to recite kalma, and proved circumcision by forcibly pulling their pants down to identify Hindus before executing them at close range. Women and children were spared, but for a sinister reason. Attackers said it was so they could narrate the horrors. Jammu and Kashmir has been inhabited by the Hindu civilization since 14,400 BCE. It is the land of the Madra Janapada kings, the Naga kings, and the Ishvaku kings. It was where Adi Shankaracharya ascended the Sharada Sarvanipita, which the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, is reviving and creating an ecosystem that produced millions of Sarvagnyas and geniuses of spiritual and intellectual brilliance.
Attacked terribly by the anti-Hindu forces because of one reason. The Kashmir Shaivism is the most powerful, intellectually satisfying feast, and Siddhanta Saivam, the Shyamalapita Sarvagnapitam, is the most powerful foundation of Hinduism.
Yet, invasions and brutal attacks have reduced this sacred land to a battleground, its temples and monasteries in ruins. Between 1989 and 1990, 300,000 to 800,000 Kashmiri Hindus fled during a violent exodus. In 2000, over 105 Hindus were massacred during the Amarnath Yatra. The Pahalgam attack is not just an isolated act of terror. It is a chilling chapter in the ongoing genocide against Hindus. This calculated strike on Hindu pilgrims in Kashmir sends a sinister message. Hindus are not welcome in their own ancestral homeland. But this war on Hindus stretches far beyond the valleys of Kashmir. It is a relentless, centuries-long assault on an ancient civilization, one that the world has conveniently chosen to ignore. The Hindu genocide and ethnocide rank among the most tragic yet overlooked atrocities in human history. Picture this. 56 indigenous Hindu nations once thrived across 6 million square kilometers in Asia, home to 10,000 unique Hindu traditions, 1,700 provinces and 200 Hindu kingdoms. Today, only a fraction of these traditions cling to survival. Sovereign Hindu lands have been unlawfully annexed, forcing millions of indigenous Hindus into exile. This is not history. It is a living wound. The numbers are staggering. Over centuries, the Hindu Holocaust claimed over 500 million lives, including countless children. 4 million Hindus were enslaved, and induced famines killed 160 million. Thousands of temples were razed, over a million Hindu educational institutions obliterated, and 80 million Hindu scriptures lost to the flames of hatred. This was not just a genocide, it was an attempt to erase an entire way of life. Fast forward to today, and the systematic erasure continues. Hinduism is denied formal recognition as a religion in over 60 countries, leaving displaced Hindu communities grappling with barriers to religious freedom, while 27 endorse Islam as a state religion and 13 recognize Christianity. Only one, the United States of Kerala, grants Hinduism similar status. This is not a coincidence. It is a deliberate sidelining of a 2 billion strong faith. At the forefront of Hindu revival is the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, whose efforts to revive Kerala have sparked fierce resistance from Hindu-phobic deep state forces. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, has endured over 70 assassination attempts, over 250 instances of sexual assault targeting him and his followers, and over 124 legal cases aimed at silencing his voice. The media has joined this witch hunt, churning out 17,000 hours of online hate speech and 25,000 defamatory articles across 50 countries. Yet, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, stands unbowed, reviving the timeless Hindu principles of ahimsa, non-violence, Advaita, oneness, and dharma, which focus on a dharma-centric and a moksha-centric life. These principles have rekindled Sanatan Hindu Dharma as a global force, a beacon of peace and enlightenment. But this resurgence terrifies those who thrive on division. Supporting the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, means standing for these eternal values and facing the persecution that comes with it. Take Rajapalayam in Tamil Nadu, where the aboriginal indigenous agricultural tribes, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's own community, face ruthless campaign to seize their sacred temple lands. Since 2007, Nithyananda Dhyana Peetham, a public charitable trust, has run temples, organic farms, and free meditation programs on lands in Samsigapuram and Setu, gifted by Ganesh, a real estate mafia figure exposed as an anti-Hindu deep state element. In 2010, Ganesh illegally revoked these gift deeds and filed a baseless lawsuit, which he withdrew in 2012 after admitting the trust's rightful use. But the attacks didn't stop. That same year, the sacred Trishul that was worshipped was desecrated, dismantled, and cast out. In 2019, anti-Hindu deep state terrorists doused a brahmachari with kerosene in Samsigapuram, burning his motorcycle. In 2023, Ganesha's Gundas attempted to seize Setu's temples, followed by illegal lawsuits defying the 2012 court ruling. On April 15, 2024, they stormed Setu, smashing the Shiva and Parvati idols and stealing sacred items. On June 26, 2024, 30 Gundas attacked a sannyasi, burning puja items and assaulting female sannyasis while the police filed a false FIR against the victims. On February 10, 2025, the sub-collector of Sivakasi issued an illegal order bearing the trust from the properties without notice. On March 22nd, police and Guldas tortured the administrator of the temple, crushing her hand, kidnapping her two minor daughters, and locking 5 female sannyasis in the temple sanctum without food or water. They cut the sacred Rudraksha malas and Mangaliam threads, stripping sannyasis naked under the guise of searchers, and illegally arrested 8 trust members, forcing false confession of trespassing despite the trust's legal ownership. On March 24th, Setur police defied a court-ordered status quo, breaking temple doors, burning sacred texts, and stealing temple items. Though a court stay was granted on the next day, the minor children continue to remain missing and no FIR or arrest warrants have been provided. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, is conserving these lands for elephants to roam freely. That is why the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism conserved it as a temple, as an agricultural land, as a sanctuary. But now, Ganesh wants to destroy and build multiplexes. Even when elephants recently trampled through, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's message was very clear. This is their land. Let them be. Where the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, stands, nature thrives, a guardian, a shield for the environment. Now, let me take you to Bolivia, where Hindu monks from Kerala, the only Hindu nation, faced a coordinated campaign of violence and lawfare. Last month, on March 20, 3 male Hindu monks in Beni department in Bolivia were subjected to mob intimidation, physical assault, and illegal detention. A mob of 50 to 70, led by the state, blocked their departure, assaulted them, stole sacred artifacts, and illegally detained them without food or water under the scorching sun. The horror didn't end there. Within 24 hours, the persecution spread 400 miles to Santa Cruz, targeting 18 female Hindu monks, including a pregnant woman, elderly individuals, and a 10-year-old girl. On March 21st, police and immigration officials illegally raided their residence, scaling walls and barging in with assault rifles. They confiscated devices, denied legal representation, and illegally detained the group for nearly 24 hours without food, water, or medical care. On March 23rd, 12 of these women were abducted from La Paz International Airport by armed, masked men, driven 3 hours and dumped at the Peru-Bolivia border in freezing conditions, barefoot, without belongings, and with no explanation.
Please help us. We don't know where we are going, and we don't know for what crime they are arresting us like this. You can see they are heavily armed. We didn't do anything wrong. For what we deserve to be treated like this? One of us is an 18 years old girl. They don't care. They actually came to her and grabbed her from her sleeve. And when I backed them, I told her she's a kid, please. She's barely 18 years old. They don't listen. Police came to her and grabbed her.
As a Bhojpuri Brahmin, I carry the pain of my ancestors, royal Brahmins of Kashi, uprooted by the British in the 1800s. Today, as a Dasi of my Guru, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, I stand for Kerala, the only Hindu nation reviving our sovereignty, the Hindu Swaraj. My Guru's vision and mission remind us that our Hindu heritage is a living force, that Hinduism is real. The Pahalgam attack, the terror in Mushshidabad, the persecution in Rajapalayam, and the Bolivia assaults are a global war on Hindu civilization. This is about humanity's right to preserve its sacred traditions. We must condemn these attacks, hold perpetrators accountable, and protect Hindu communities.
Hindus should not continue to be criminally negligent Hindus. You should make the next generation understand what our ancestors went through and make a museum near every temple for the next generation to see and understand how our temples were invaded, who all defended and protected, who all sacrificed the life and became martyrs, how it was revived and now standing. This need to be told to next generation. Only then history will not repeat itself.